Hollywood is very seductive and people want to be famous, and sometimes you think you're going to be safe and with an adult in the room, or I don't know where this security comes from, but somehow I dodged it all.
And they have to make you dirty. Like, you cannot be in Hollywood, become famous if they don't have some kind of dirt on you. And you go on those parties, and that's where usually you have to do something dirty, and it could be the party of overeating stuff.
Oh my God, you're not going to believe this. Hold on to your seats, because Pamela Anderson is finally breaking her silence about a terrifying experience that literally almost cost her life at one of Diddy's parties. And trust me, the details are absolutely bone-chilling. Now, we all know Pamela Anderson has been through it all in Hollywood. I mean, she's basically seen everything there is to see since the 80s and 90s. You know, back when all kinds of crazy stuff went down without social media around to expose it. So when someone like Pamela, who's literally survived the wildest era of Hollywood, says that a Diddy party left her absolutely terrified and fearing for her life, honey, you better believe something truly evil went down. And get this, according to inside sources who are spilling all the tea, it wasn't just your typical celebrity party craziness. Pamela allegedly witnessed some seriously dark, disturbing rituals that left her completely traumatized. But here's the part that sent chills down my spine. She almost became a victim of these rituals herself. And before you think this is just another Hollywood rumor, let me tell you, she's got receipts to back everything up.
As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended performances with male commercial workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics.
Let's talk about Diddy for a hot minute, because, darling, his world is absolutely crumbling right now. His problems have gone from bad to catastrophically worse, and it doesn't look like there's any light at the end of this very dark tunnel. We're talking about some of the most horrific charges anyone in Hollywood has ever faced. At this rate, he might be trading in his designer suits for prison jumpsuits for the rest of his life. And don't even get me started on these civil lawsuits. They're multiplying faster than rabbits, each one more shocking than the last. Poor Diddy might need to start checking under his couch cushions for spare change, because settling all these cases is going to cost him a fortune. Right in the middle of this absolute mess, industry insiders are coming out of the woodwork to spill the tea about these infamous parties where allegedly all sorts of unspeakable things went down. And now our girl Pamela Anderson is joining the conversation, and trust me, what she has to say will make your jaw hit the floor. Word on the street is that Pamela used to be a regular at these parties, and she witnessed firsthand the absolutely disgusting things that allegedly went down. But here's the thing, she couldn't say a word back then because, hello, Diddy and his protectors were just too dangerous. But now that everyone's coming for Diddy, honey, she is not holding back.
Well, I grew up in a very in an alcoholic home, and there was violence in my household, and I think it's just my model of a relationship. And when I got into any kind of relationships, it just seems to, you recreate the pattern, even though you say you're never ever going to do that, you're never going to have the same relationship. My poor mom she's still with my father. My father is a great grandfather. He's a wonderful grandfather, but he's a terrible husband. And and my mom still suffers because it's verbal abuse, used to be physical abuse, and she just,
Now, before we dive deeper into this piping hot tea, let me tell you why Pamela's words carry so much weight. At 57, this isn't some clout-chasing influencer we're talking about. This is a woman who has literally been through hell and back. Pamela's childhood? Oh, my heart. Growing up in Ladysmith, British Columbia, she was caught in the crossfire of her parents' toxic marriage. We're talking physical fights that would break out right in front of her. But brace yourselves, because that was just the beginning of her trauma. In what might be one of the most heartbreaking revelations ever, Pamela opened up about being taken advantage of by a female babysitter from 6 to 10 years old. Can you imagine? This poor baby didn't even understand what was happening to her. And sadly, this terrible experience seemed to set a devastating pattern in her life. When she started dating, Lord have mercy, it only got worse. Picture this. She was just 10 plus to years old when she went to a friend's boyfriend's house and the boyfriend's older brother, who was in his 20s, casually in. The trauma and trust issues from that experience, devastating. And her dating life? It was like a horror show. These so-called boyfriends were absolute monsters. We're talking physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse. It's enough to make your blood boil. One time, a boyfriend got so violent during an argument in his car that she had to jump out while it was still moving. And then there was that nightmare scenario where another boyfriend and his friends gang her in the backseat of his car. I can't even.
I did not have an easy childhood. Despite loving parents, I was from age 6 to 10 by my female babysitter. I went to a friend's boyfriend's house, and while she was busy, the boyfriend's older brother decided he would teach me backgammon, which led into a back massage, which led into my first heterosexual experience. He was 25 years old, and I was 12. My first boyfriend in grade 9 decided it would be funny to gang rape 6 of his friends. Needless to say, I had a hard time trusting humans, and I just wanted off this earth. My parents tried to keep me safe, but to me, the world was not a safe place. My dad, an alcoholic. My mom worked 2 jobs waitressing. My mom was always crying. Dad didn't always come home, leaving us in tremendous pain and worry. I couldn't bear to give her any more disruptive information, so I couldn't break her heart any more than it was breaking. I kept these events to myself. Sometimes when you smile, it's not because you're happy, it's because you're strong. That's her words.
So when Playboy came calling and flew her out to Los Angeles, our girl Pamela thought this was finally her chance at a fresh start. Oh, sweet summer child. Little did she know she was walking straight into Hollywood's horror machine. Being a gorgeous blonde bombshell in the late 80s, Pamela had every powerful man in the industry drooling over her. After that iconic Playboy magazine cover in October 1989, she became the talk of the town. The invites to the Playboy Mansion parties started rolling in, and let me tell you, those parties weren't just your average champagne and caviar affairs. We're talking about some seriously questionable, borderline illegal activities. Now, Pamela wasn't naive. She tried to stay away from these parties at first. Smart girl. She knew better than to get tangled up in all that mess.
It's a condo and a Porsche to be someone's number 1 girl, and I just naively said, well, there must be number 2 then, so I'm not interested. Or just money, homes, roles in movies, and I just didn't want to do it that way. I had no desire, and I'm a romantic.
But you know how Hollywood is, darling. The pressure became too intense, and eventually, our girl had to give in. Soon after, her modeling career exploded, and she landed that iconic role as C.J. Parker in Baywatch. 5 whole seasons between 1992 and 1997, plus movies, plays, modeling gigs. She was everywhere. But here's the tragic part. Despite all her success, Hollywood refused to take her seriously. They reduced this talented woman to nothing but a symbol, a bimbo. Women either wanted to be her or wanted to destroy her, and men, they treated her like property they could own.
I've heard you describe yourself as a kitten, and you enjoy that role, and you've been on the cover of Playboy 14 times. Is it hard for you to be a serious messenger? Do people diminish you because you've owned your sexuality and sensuality in that way?
Well, I think it's gotten me in the door a lot, and I think there's been more good than bad, but obviously there's downsides to it as well. But I kind of like not having much to live up to, because then I can surprise people. I form a full sentence. I'm a genius. It's amazing. So, and I've kind of used it to my advantage, and we use all we are, and I love feeling sexy and being a woman. You're able to be sexy, you're able to be a good mother. It doesn't mean you're a bad mother if you're covered in glitter and just got back from Vegas, a Vegas show. It's all part of us.
But hold on to your seats, because we're about to dive into one of the most traumatic chapters of Pamela's life. In 1995, her private tapes with then-husband Tommy Lee were leaked to the internet, and honey, it was a scandal with a capital S. The tea is that some bitter ex-employee stole these private honeymoon tapes and tried to blackmail them. And when Pam and Tommy didn't cave to the threats, this snake went and sold it to a media company that plastered it all over the internet. Can you even imagine? Now Pamela and Tommy tried to fight back. They took legal action against the company. But here's where it gets heartbreaking. They had to drop the charges because they were worried about how all the stress would affect Pamela's pregnancy. And what did that sleazy media company do? They just kept right on sharing that video, making money off someone else's trauma. Let me put this in perspective for you, sweeties. This was 1995. Most people barely knew what the internet was. This scandal was so huge, it actually got more people logging online just to see it. It was literally the first celebrity tape leak of its kind.
I was a big fan of your Tommy Lee tape.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it?
No.
It's fantastic.
Stop.
Did you make a mint off of that?
I made not $1.
I thought you guys made a deal.
Property. No, we made a deal to stop the shenanigans and stop all the. I was 7 months pregnant with Dylan, and I was thinking it was affecting the pregnancy, the stress, and I said, I'm not going to court anymore. I'm not being deposed anymore by these horny, weird lawyer men. I don't want to talk about my anymore or public sex, anything. Yeah. So, you know, it was stolen property. We never, either of us made anything from it, and it was stolen, and, you know, Bob Guccione tried to offer us millions of dollars. We said no, and it was already out at that time, the damage was done, so we just said, no way, we're not getting involved in that.
But wait, it gets worse. Just when you thought Pamela had been through enough, 1998 rolls around and bam! Another private tape, this time with musician Bret Michaels, gets leaked to Penthouse magazine. Bret's lawyers tried to stop it, bless their hearts, but an edited version still ended up online that same year. All of this absolutely destroyed Pamela's image. People started treating her like an object instead of a human being with feelings and talent. And just when you thought Hollywood couldn't get any more cruel, Hulu comes along in 2022 with that Pam and Tommy series. And here's the kicker, they never even asked for Pamela's permission. She had to watch her trauma being turned into entertainment all over again. The nerve of these people.
Pamela Anderson!
Did you know anything at all about Mr. Lee before you met him?
When I first heard about the Pam and Tommy TV series, I think everyone just protected me from it. I wouldn't get involved. And that's, yeah. I don't know. I just think it was interesting to hear about it. Didn't make me happy. No. Assholes. Oh, not assholes, but just salt on the wound. Not necessary. Anyway, it happened. I've never seen the series and I've never seen too much of it, but it just looked like another Halloween costume to me. Everyone dresses up, like there was a lot of Halloween costumes over the last decade, so.
Now here's where things get really dark, darlings. According to some very well-placed sources, these leaks weren't just random accidents or coincidences. They were allegedly part of calculated humiliation rituals designed to break Pamela's spirit and force her to participate in Hollywood's sick underground rituals. There were supposedly threats against her life if she didn't play ball. No wonder the poor thing fled back to her hometown of Ladysmith to hide out for a while. But here's the thing, as horrible as Pamela's experience was, she's actually one of the lucky ones who made it out alive. Take Whitney Houston, for example. God rest her soul. Even though it's been over a decade since we lost her, people are still whispering about whether her death was really natural. Some are pointing fingers at her label boss, Clive Davis. Whitney was an absolute goddess with a voice sent from heaven, but the pressures of fame and success drove her to self-medicate with and alcohol. This made it hard for her to keep up with her record label's demands.
Maybe a bad shot, but this is real. I mean, the bones, that's real.
Yeah, my bones, yeah. I'm 5'7" and thin. I can understand what you mean.
But that's not just thin.
No, what is it? Diane, tell me. Do you know?
It's scary thin.
I can believe what you feel. I can believe that. But do you really know? Do you really know?
No, you know.
Thank you.
Anorexia.
No way.
They've written it.
No way.
Now get this, in the final years of her life, Whitney was actually getting her act together. She was cleaning up, getting back on track, ready to reclaim her throne. On that fateful day, she was supposed to perform at Clive Davis's pre-Grammy party. But what happened next will give you chills. When they found Whitney's body at the Beverly Hilton, Clive Davis, and this is the part that makes my skin crawl, acted like it was just another day at the office. He actually insisted on continuing with the party. When people called him out on it, he had the nerve to say that's what Whitney would have wanted. The audacity.
The Grammys were the next night. You don't cancel. You turn an evening into a tribute.
You did a magnificent evening.
Into.
Did you give a thought to canceling?
Never.
You never thought?
Never.
Did you ever think?
The family did not want me to give a thought.
Didn't?
No.
But hold up, because Whitney's dear friend Chaka Khan came with the receipts. She said there was absolutely no way Whitney would have wanted people partying and drinking while her body was just lying there a few floors above. I mean, who would?
You were, I think, going to go to the Clive Davis party.
Yes.
It was a surreal event where Whitney's body was still in the hotel, and there was this sort of party where apparently half the room were in tears, the other half were kind of partying. What did you feel about that?
I thought that was complete insanity. And knowing Whitney, I don't believe that she would have said, the show must go on. She was the kind of woman that was stop everything. I'm not going to be there. You know, I don't know what could motivate a person to have a party in a building where the person whose life he had influenced so enormously and whose life had been affected by her. So they were like, I don't understand how.
And here's where things get super creepy, darlings. According to insiders who were there, Whitney was acting really strange and looked completely disheveled in the days before her death. It was almost like she knew something terrible was about to happen. She even crashed an interview with Brandy and Clive Davis, and this is the part that sends shivers down my spine. She secretly passed a note to Brandy.
They've been paying tribute. They've been paying tribute.
This is my dad. It's my dad. I'll see you later. I'll see you later.
Now, nobody knows what was in that mysterious note, but honey, people are speculating that Whitney was trying to warn Brandy, not just about Clive, but about the whole dark underbelly of the industry. Some are even saying, and this is absolutely chilling, that Whitney was sacrificed because she was about to expose all the evil things that Clive Davis and his protege Diddy were doing at their notorious off parties. And now, speaking of Diddy's parties, word on the street is that some of the celebrities who used to attend, including our girl Pamela Anderson, might be called to testify before the grand jury. Can you imagine? The tea is about to be spilled and it's going to be scalding hot. Things are getting hotter than a summer sidewalk in Diddy's camp, and from what I'm hearing, this is just the beginning. The question on everyone's lips is, will Pamela actually get involved in this mess after everything she's been through? Or will she protect her peace and stay far away from the spotlight? I mean, after surviving all that trauma, dealing with those leaked tapes, fighting off Hollywood's dark side, and literally escaping what sounds like some seriously disturbing rituals at Diddy's parties, would you blame her if she chose to stay away? But then again, maybe this is her chance to finally expose all the darkness she's witnessed. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm dying to know what you think about this whole situation. Will Pamela testify? Is justice finally coming for all these Hollywood power players? And most importantly, what do you think was in that note Whitney passed to Brandy? This story is far from over, darlings, and something tells me we're just scratching the surface of this Hollywood horror show.